If you want to score high on the CELPIP reading test, there is something important you need to know about Part 4. Many candidates with strong English skills still struggle with this part, not because they can't read well, but because Part 4 is the most complex and demanding part of the entire reading test. The text is long and formal, the questions require more careful thinking, and the time pressure is real. High-scoring candidates, however, don't let any of that stop them. Rather than reading and hoping for the best, they use specific strategies to work through Part 4 efficiently and choose the right answers with confidence. Strategy can make a real difference. This is the approach candidates use inside our CELPIP packages. They discover how strategic preparation can make a real difference in their results. In this video, I'll walk you through 10 essential tips for CELPIP Reading Part 4. By the end, you'll know how to prepare for this part of the reading test with confidence. Tip number 1 is to understand what Part 4 tests. Before you can use the right strategies, you need to know what you are being asked to do in this section of the reading test. Part 4 is called Reading for Viewpoints. You are given a main text, which is a formal article or editorial about a community issue. This text presents 2 or more opinions about the topic. You will also receive a second, shorter text, which is a comment from a reader responding to the main article. This comment has blanks that you need to fill in. There are 10 questions in total, divided into 2 sets of 5. The main text in Part 4 is the most formal and complex reading passage in the whole test. It reads like a news article. It is conceptual, meaning it discusses ideas, possibilities, and different viewpoints rather than just presenting facts. The questions test whether you can identify who believes what, why they believe it, and how different opinions relate to each other. When you understand this from the start, you can read the text with the right focus and avoid getting lost in details that don't help you answer the questions. The second tip is to use a question-by-question approach when working through Part 4. This is one of the most effective strategies you can use, and many candidates completely overlook it. The idea is simple. Instead of reading the entire article first and then going back to answer the questions, you work through the questions one at a time. Read the first question and identify its keywords. Then scan the article for those keywords and read the relevant section carefully to find the answer. Once you have answered the first question, move on to the second one. Scan for its keywords and read the relevant part of the text. Continue this way through all 5 questions in set 1. This approach is highly efficient. This is because it ensures you only read the parts of the text that actually matter for each question. It also keeps you focused. Instead of trying to absorb everything at once, you are reading with a specific question in mind. In a part as complex as Part 4, that focus can help you work more accurately and avoid wasting time on sections that don't help you answer the questions. Another important tip is to avoid getting stuck on difficult vocabulary. Part 4 uses formal, complex language, and you will likely encounter words you haven't seen before. Many candidates slow down or lose focus when they see an unfamiliar word, and this can cost them valuable time. The key is to use the context around the word to figure out its general meaning. Look at the sentence the word appears in and the sentences before and after it. Ask yourself what part of speech the word is. Is it a noun, a verb, or an adjective? You can also ask whether it has a positive or negative tone in that context. These 2 questions alone can often give you enough information to understand the idea being communicated, even if you don't know the exact definition of the word. For example, consider a sentence like, critics argued that the proposal was imprudent, given the financial pressures the city was already facing. You may not know the word imprudent, but from the context, you can see that critics are arguing against the proposal and connecting it to financial difficulty. This tells you the word has a negative meaning, which is plenty of information to answer a question about the critic's viewpoint. Don't pause for words you don't know. Use the surrounding text and keep moving. Now, here is something important. Many CELPIP candidates think that knowing a few reading tips is enough to get a strong result. But it's not enough. To do well in CELPIP reading, you need to understand the different question types and which strategies you need to use to find the answers fast. That's exactly what we teach in our CELPIP packages. Our students get step-by-step guidance on how to approach the reading test effectively, so they feel confident and ready on test day. They learn how the CELPIP reading questions are designed and which strategies they need to apply to answer them successfully. Our CELPIP packages include lessons for all tasks, sample answers, mock tests, templates, and much more. Click the link below to learn more. Tip number 4 is to identify the main opinions in the text and who holds them. Part 4 is built around multiple perspectives on a topic. The questions will frequently ask you about a specific person's view, what they believe, or how their opinion compares to someone else's. As you read, pay attention to signal words that introduce opinions. Words and phrases such as argues, believes, claims, suggests, according to, and from her perspective, all indicate that a viewpoint is being introduced. When you see these words, pay close attention to the person or group being mentioned and what they are saying. It's also important to notice the reasons behind each opinion. High-scoring candidates don't just identify who believes what, they also understand why. For example, knowing that a local business owner supports a new parking structure because it would bring more customers to the area is much more useful than simply noting that the business owner is in favor of it. The why is often what the questions are actually testing. As you move through the article using your question-by-question approach, ask yourself with each section, who is speaking here? What do they believe? And what reason do they give? The 5th tip is to use your paraphrase skills when choosing the correct answer. This applies to all parts of the reading test, but it is particularly important in part 4 because the text is more complex and the answer choices are more carefully worded. Paraphrase means expressing the same idea in different words. The correct answer to a question will almost never use the exact same words as the text. Instead, it will express the same meaning using different vocabulary or sentence structure. If you look only for answers that match the text word for word, you will often choose the wrong option or miss the correct one. For example, if the text says, the proposal met with strong resistance from community groups, a correct answer might say, local organizations opposed the plan. The meaning is the same, but the words are different. When you are comparing answer choices, ask yourself whether the meaning matches the text, not whether the words match. This shift in thinking can help you catch the correct answers much more reliably. Let's move on to tip number 6. Know the 3 question types. All of the questions in part 4 belong to one of 3 categories, and understanding these categories can help you approach each question more effectively. The first type is general meaning. These are big picture questions that ask you about the main idea of the whole text or of a large section of it. A question like, the article is mainly about, and here comes the blank, is a general meaning question. To answer it, think about the overall purpose of the article rather than focusing on one small detail. The second type is specific information. These questions ask you to find one piece of information, such as a name, a fact, or a reason from a particular part of the text. Look for keywords in the question and then scan the relevant section of the article for that specific detail. The third type is inference. These questions ask you to draw a conclusion about something that is not stated directly in the text. Inference questions often include words like probably, most likely, or would agree with. To answer these correctly, use the clues in the text to reason your way to the answer. Once you can recognize which type each question is, you can choose the right reading strategy for each one. Here is tip number 7. Approach the commenter text strategically. The second text in part 4 is a short comment from a reader of the main article. It has blanks for you to fill in, and it has its own set of 5 questions. The key to answering this second set is to understand the commenter's opinion and how it relates to the viewpoints in the main article. Read the commenter text carefully. Ask yourself what position the commenter is taking. Are they in favor of one of the opinions from the article? Are they against all of them? Are they somewhere in between? Use the context of the surrounding sentences to help you fill in the blanks. The sentences before and after each blank will give you strong clues about what kind of word or idea is needed. Also, use what you already learned about the main article from answering question set 1. The questions in set 2 often ask you to connect what the commenter says to something a specific person or group said in the main text. The familiarity you build during set 1 can help you make those connections quickly. By the way, if you want this channel to keep going, write yes in the comments, click like and subscribe. We only make videos that you actually want to watch. Now, let's continue with 3 more essential tips for CELPIP reading. Part 4. We'll continue with tip number 8. Watch out for distractor answer choices. A distractor is an incorrect answer option that is designed to look like it could be correct. In part 4, distractors are often very close to the correct answer in wording or meaning, which is why this part is particularly challenging. There are a few common patterns that distractors follow. One common pattern is a partial match. In this case, the answer choice contains 1 or 2 words from the text, but the overall meaning is different from what the text says. Another pattern is an answer that is true in general or seems reasonable but is not supported by the text itself. A third pattern is an answer that mixes up 2 different viewpoints from the article, for example, by correctly identifying what one person believes but incorrectly attaching it to someone else. The best way to protect yourself from distractors is to go back to the text and verify your answer before selecting it. Don't choose an answer simply because it sounds right or uses familiar words. Check that the idea in the answer choice is actually stated in or supported by the specific part of the text the question is about. This habit can save you from losing points on questions you almost got right. The next tip is to use your inference skills for tone and attitude questions. Part 4 often includes questions that ask about the tone of the article or the attitude of a particular writer or commenter. These are inference questions because the tone is rarely stated directly. You have to figure it out from the language the writer uses. Tone is the attitude or feeling that a writer communicates through their word choices. For example, is the writer critical, supportive, cautious, enthusiastic, or concerned? To identify tone, look at the adjectives and adverbs the writer uses, the strength of their language, and whether they present one side more favorably than another. For instance, if a writer describes a government policy using words like rushed, poorly planned, and overlooked key concerns, the tone is critical. If a writer uses phrases like a promising development and a well-considered approach, the tone is more positive. You won't find the word critical or supportive written in the text. You need to read the language carefully and draw your own conclusion. Practicing this skill before the test can help you feel much more confident when these questions appear. Our final tip is to save time to review your answers. Part 4 gives you approximately 13 minutes to answer 10 questions. And it's important to budget that time so you have a short period at the end to check your work. Reviewing your answers is valuable because Part 4 questions are complex, and it's easy to make a small error under time pressure. When you review, don't try to rethink every answer from scratch. Instead, focus on any questions you felt uncertain about. Go back to the relevant part of the text. Confirm that the answer you chose actually matches what is written there. It's also worth checking that you have answered every question. No points are taken away for incorrect answers on the CELPIP reading test, so you should never leave a question blank. If you are unsure about an answer, make your best choice and move on. Guessing is always better than leaving it empty. A quick review at the end of the part can make the difference between a good score and a great one. That's it! These are 10 tips for CELPIP Reading Part 4. If you want expert guidance for your CELPIP preparation, check out our CELPIP packages using the link below. Our packages include step-by-step guidance, sample answers, mock tests, templates, and other useful resources to help you feel confident on test day. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you're notified when the next video comes out. Also, share this video with your friends so they can improve their CELPIP score too. See you in the next video!